Hello everybody, welcome back. And this time we are gonna be actually working on refactoring the code. So whatever we've done so far, everything's up and running and everything's sort of working. And right now we will just refactor the code beta. Just a sec. Alrighty. This seems to be alright. Okay, so hopefully everything's up and running, right? And just let's continue from here on. Why couldn't I do it? It must be done anyhow. Let's just simply continue. So what's gonna be the goal right now? The goal is pretty simple. That is the code that I have. I'm just simply gonna be formatting this to the best way possible, and then we'll see what can be done next. Coming back to this, we have app. Inside the app we have just normal canvas.tsx, and overall things look like this. The thing is that I wanted to know the difference between use memo and use callback. So difference between use memo and use callback. Use moment very similar internally, but they solve different problems. Use memomizes values, memomizes a function. So yeah, that's sort of right. It memomizes a value. Yes. Returns the computed result. Returns the same function reference used for expensive computations. Used to prevent unnecessary function recreation. So one is for value and the dependencies, function and dependencies. So use memo will have some sort of value, so it will just simply return the value, and that's gonna be sort of memoized. Without use memo, every render would execute use sort. Use callback when use it when want to cache function. Why does this matter? Okay, sort of we've gone through both. That's good. A rule of thumb, need to cache computed value, just use, so that whenever the pointer f changes, only then we are gonna be just simply sort of gonna be changing them, otherwise no. So this is how it just simply goes on. We have these reps over here, they are just simply passed. We have this reference provider that actually comes from the editor, and then we have this context section in here that just simply gives the context, and render context here, render provider, and use renderer. If I actually go to this particular context, it mainly returns invalidate scene and overlay. They are mainly responsible for doing this stuff, and it's better to just simply go through each and everything. So first of all, we have this renderer provider, that's simply normal provider that's just used in here. Then we have this use renderer that just simply uses the context and returns the values and all. And then we have this the context, pretty simple. Going back to this again, then we have the toolbar, properties, panel, and canvas. As for the toolbar and properties, we still have to work on this. Mainly we are gonna be talking about the canvas thing in here. So when it comes to canvas, so it just simply gets the editor reps, of course they are these ones, and canvas props. If something is used just at one place, so it's better to just simply keep that on the same function. Not really problematic thing. And going ahead, what is wrong with this? Never mind, let's continue. So we have use canvas interactions, that is mainly gonna be for interactions, and it needs these things. And it turns out that it actually needs editor reps. So I don't really have the editor rep here anymore. So the better way can be to just simply passing it directly is not really problematic, but it could be better if I can do it like this. So just like this. And the benefit of having this is that instead of passing this, I can pass ... editor reps. So this is how we are just simply passing these values. Same thing goes for this one as well. The only thing is that this is not an object, so we'll have to make it first. And the another thing is that huge image upload doesn't really accept them, so the values that I'm getting I need to convert them like this. And scene what canvas ref overlay image input ref and pointer refs. Alrighty, this is how it's just simply gonna be going on. Once we have this, it turns out we are not really using overlay, so we'll have to figure it out exactly where it's been used. Overlay canvas ref active shape ID. Interesting. So active shape ID is gonna be no more there. Use image upload current to this. When it comes to select, so what do we need to have? Let's see, so what exactly we are doing in here. So first of all, we are not using the overlay, we'll see. These things are also not used, so let's just simply get rid of these. It's all about the formatting time, so we'll be just simply formatting this stuff in here. And grid size, so that's fine. This is the main function in here, handle image change. So whenever there is a change in the image, we get the files. Once we got the files, after that we check the canvas, image info, load image info, that is also fine. And it just simply gives us the image info, right? So that is the image info loader. That's okay, fine with that. So what it does, that it just simply gets all the files. Once it gets all the files, it has a promise all, and it has the array. So what promise actually does, that if it has any array, it just simply makes sure that everything runs inside that, and then only it returns the value. So array dot from files, it just simply creates an array. Once the array is created, we are mapping to that, and we'll be getting the file. We are just simply creating the image URL. Once we have the image URL, we are load image. What does this do? Just a sec. So it has another promise that simply creates the image, and when the image actually loads, it just simply returns the resolves the image. So at the end of the day, we are gonna be getting the image value in here, and it even adds that particular URL. So it has the image, it resolves the image source is gonna be URL. What is this URL? This is the URL that I'm actually passing in case I have one, right? So coming back to this image URL we had here. So what is actually happening in here? Pretty simple stuff actually. Whatever files we have, okay, we are just simply creating their URL. Ultimately their blob URL, of course. Once their blob URL is ready, now the next thing is that I actually have to create an image. So we created the image object. We just simply once that got created, we resolved that. And not only that, before that we just simply added the URL, so that particular URL to that particular image object, that class that we actually created, instantiated. And after that, once that is done, then we have the image. Once we have the image, we want to make sure that the minimum height is 1 and the maximum height is actually image, max of image dot width and image dot height. So at this level, what we are doing here, that is the max size we have, we are dividing it by ratio. We are trying to get the ratio. So the max size and the size of the image, if we divide that, we are gonna be getting the ratio of the difference. Once we have the ratio, we'll get the minimum. So if that is less than 0, 1, so of course we are gonna be getting 1. If that is less more than 1, I mean lesser than 1 as well, so of course that same value we are gonna be getting here. The reason why we are gonna be getting the ratio, that's pretty simple, that as we upload the image, so the ratio should be decided based on the number of the image, I mean image sizes and all. So the max image size is what? The max image size is 500, right? So doesn't matter which image I upload, the size should be fixed though. And if size is equivalent to max image size, then that's okay. 1 by divided by ultimately max by max, that's gonna be 1, and hence is the minimum value ratio. And the another way is that if that is actually greater, then in that case we don't really need to worry about it. It's gonna be 0 point something. The overall logic behind doing this is that this ratio makes sure that the size never goes beyond max image size. So ratio makes sure that size of never goes, or size of image never goes beyond max image size while maintaining the ratio. And this is image dot width, image dot height, max image. That's the same thing I'm doing here. Why is it giving me again? So math dot min 1 max image size divided by this. It is actually giving me more suggestions than it should be giving. Anyway, once that is done, so we have the image URL, we have the width of the image, we have the height of the image. That's what is done by this. Pretty simple stuff. We even have the image info. Coming back to this, we got the image infos. It depends exactly how many images I uploaded. It depends on the number of the files. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna be getting what? I'm gonna get a image info. Sort of. Am I gonna be getting some? Okay, keeping it aside, I'm gonna be getting the width, height, and the image URL. Once that is done, what we are doing? Get grid size image info dot length. Now we have to decide as per the number of rows exactly how many grids we need, right? So first of all, this thing returns image URL. Ultimately, I'm gonna be getting the image info, so no need to worry about that. Grid. So get grid size. This is just normal formula that as per the number of the images, it just simply calculates how many columns should be there and how many rows should be there. So first of all, we calculate the columns. So we just simply get the square root of the total count, and suppose if that is 6, so the count is gonna be around 2 to the 4, 2 point something, and then we get the ceiling value. That simply means there are gonna be 3 columns, and then we divide 3 by the number of the columns. That was already 6. So the count, that is 6 columns, is 3. 6 divided by 3, that becomes 2. So there are gonna be 2 rows. There are gonna be 3 columns, and this is how the formula actually works. So I can just simply have that formula to calculate number of rows and columns. As simple as that. Hope it makes sense. To make grid as square as possible. That's right. So this is just the formula that's being used. Again, I didn't really thought of it. AI suggested me. I checked this, it worked, and that is it. It's not like you need to know everything, right? You just simply give it some value, it does the job. So it's just as simple as that. You are just simply getting the square value of anything, and then getting the ceiling value. So that decides the number of columns, and once you got the columns, divide the count by the columns, you will get the number of rows. This is how it just simply goes. Make sure that you are getting the ceiling values and all. So this particular part is done. So we got the grid, we got the rows and columns, once we got the rows and columns, means there needs to be some gap, right, between the images. So even though we have the max size of an image, but it's not like that's gonna be the only one. Max size plus gap is gonna be the cell size, a particular cell size, because we have the rows, we have the columns, now we need to have the cells, right? So this cell size just simply decides that only. So, okay, that particular thing is done. Once we have the cell size, that simply means the max image size plus this. What does this mean? This simply means that if the image is more than the cell size, it's gonna be limited. So it's definitely this cell size just decides the cell size, a particular space for the image, and image will always be lesser than that particular space. Okay, going ahead. Client to canvas coordinates. So we have the center value, which canvas dot width and all, and they can be even window dot width and all, but okay, let's not worry about that. And once we have the canvas, and these are the client to canvas coordinates. So as simple as whenever we are just simply trying to upload an image, so we'll be uploading with respect to the center, so they are going to be uploaded around the center. So this is how it just simply goes on. Then of course, once that is done, from the coordinates I'm just simply getting the center x and center y, and this is the another formula. What this formula does, first of all, what all we've done, we got all the files, then we got the image info. This simply contains it returns what it returns: image URL width and height. It returns image, even though we have the type, but okay, image URL, or it can be better if I can say that, bro, you return something. It actually returns the promise for that. Yeah, it actually returns a promise, and when it actually returns a promise, we have to sort of await that promise, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, we are awaiting it, and returns image URL width and height. So this is how it just simply goes on. Once we got the image URL width and height, then that's great. We got the grid info. Once we got the grid info, this is the formula for what we have. We know what are gonna be the images, rows and columns, right? We know the size of cell when we have rows and columns. That is also right. We even have the coordinates, and they are the x and y coordinates of the center. Just keep in mind that they are the center x and center y. Now around the center we have to render it, right? So grid width is gonna be the number of columns. Again, when it comes to columns, so total number of columns that I have multiplied by the cell size, and total number of rows that we have, and multiplied by the cell size. That simply means it is gonna be returning the total width. But there is a thing that as we are adding this cell size, so there's gonna be gap in between them. So what is actually happening here, that is, so suppose this is where we want the image, right? And when it comes to this particular part in here, so this is the center. Suppose I just decided it to be the center. Now around the center I have to have the images. So this is the first cell, this is the second one, and suppose we want 3 columns, and once we actually have these 3 columns, so I want that there are gonna be 3 columns, then there are gonna be 2 rows. So cell size we already have, multiplied by number of columns, it will return me the total width. But this width will be from this place till this place, because in this cell size ultimately image gap is also included, and hence we need to just subtract the gap that is extra from the last, right? That's what we are just simply doing it over here. So columns, so suppose because this cell size includes the image gap, keeping this simple, and as I'm just simply adding it, so if there are 3 columns, I just need 2 gaps, right? I don't need 3 gaps, and that is why we are just simply subtracting 1 extra gap from here. That's the only thing that is happening over here. Okay, going ahead, we got the grid width, we got the grid height. After that, what do we have to do? So center x minus grid width divided by 2 start x, center x, this. What is this now? it simply gives us the start value. So the we already have the center x. Image needs to be around the center x and all. So we have the center x. Okay, the grid width we divided the grid width by 2 and we divided the grid height by 2. That simply means now if there's gonna be any image, if there's only one image, that's gonna be at the center. That just simply, so that particular image is gonna be here at the center, somewhere here. Okay, so suppose I'm uploading any image, so that particular image is gonna be here at the center, mainly because of this. This is how we calculate the start, because by default image is gonna look like this, because the image is gonna be at the center, right? So if we are creating anything at the center, so center is gonna be the starting point. I don't want center to be the starting point, rather what I want that the image should actually be in the center, somewhere here. So the center should actually become the center point of the image, and that is what we are doing. So what we'll do, we'll get, we already have the center, we have the width, we have the height. So what we'll do, we'll calculate half of the height and subtract, so it will come here. We'll calculate half of the we'll calculate half of the width and it comes here. And we'll calculate half of the height and then subtract, so it will come here. So this is how we are calculating it, and that's the same thing is being done here. So centralize center the image, the grid. If there's only one, yeah, that's right, center the image in the grid. So by default if there's only one image, so that's gonna be only one grid and that's gonna be around the corner. So that this is how it's gonna be going on. But if there are 6 images in all, in that case, of course, in that case we have to take care of this thing. So we are gonna be just simply working on this. One more thing that is here, that if we actually click on any image, it doesn't select until unless we actually click on at the corners. And there is a benefit of this, that is, now if they are overlapping, even if they are overlapping, you can easily select the images. That's the benefit of this way, right? So there are both the ways. You can just simply go with this way, or you can go with the you can select them when you click on them, right? The way we are doing it, actually we are going with the same way. Or the second thing is that you can select them only when you click on the borders, the resize handles. Now it's up to you how you just simply handle this. And I think this is better, because the benefit of having this kind of structure is that if you click on anything, that's just simply get selected even if they are on top of each other. That is the benefit of going with this way. And meanwhile there's another website, Eraser. Again we have to work on all these things. They seem to be simple things, but at the end of the day they matter the most. So over here what is happening, that it doesn't matter where you click, it gets selected. So now if I draw any image or any shape on top of that, so what will happen if I click, this is actually a better thing. Like once you click somewhere, and if it actually touches the exact, say only if there are many, then what? So whichever shape is the closest, that gets selected. So we have to work on this particular feature. So if there are many shapes, that's okay, no problem. When I click, the shape closest to the pointer gets selected, and not even the closest, the shape on which the pointer, this is just simply centralize that. Okay, once it's centralized, this is the most important part in here. This is the most important part in here. What this actually does, it gets the images, creates the images, and around the circle using that rows and columns. So image infos, all the image infos. So image index, first of all I'm getting all the images. Based on the index, whatever the value of the index is, I divide it by the column. So what I get the row. Again, this is nothing but a formula, so don't worry about it much. So calculate the row and column for the current image based on its index. So it just simply calculates which particular column it should be going to, because by default we already have figured out the number of rows and columns, right? So we are just simply deciding which particular column a particular image should go to. So based on the index we are actually deciding that. So math.floor index, suppose that is the index is 1 or index is 0, number of columns is 3 already, we already know. So 0 by 3, what are we gonna be getting? 0 by 3, 0, and that simply means first one is gonna be, the row is gonna be 0 and the index column is 3, and we get the modulo over here, and the modulo is gonna be index 0 by 3. So when it comes to modulo, so 0 by columns, just a sec. We'll get 0 modulo 3. Zero modulo 3, we get 0. So ultimately we will get 0 in both the cases. Yeah, that's it, right? So if the index is 0, we are gonna be getting 0. If this index is 1, so 1 divided by columns, so it's gonna be 0 point something, and we are getting the floor value, so it will still be 1. And as for the index, so if it's 1, so 1 multiplied by columns, so the columns is 3, we are getting the modulo. So it's pretty simple. What we are doing here, that let's talk about the rows, how we are calculating the rows. When it comes to rows, so if the index value is 0 divided by column, so what we are actually doing, 0 divided by columns, that will always be 0. That simply means first one, 0th cell. 1 divided by column, 0 point something, again 0, because we are using floor. 2 divided by column, suppose column value is 3, so 2 divided by column, again 0 point something, 0. 3 divided by column, 1. The math.floor of 1 will still be 1. That simply means this time the value of row will become second one. Okay, so when the index actually reaches to 3, so whenever, as soon as the value of the index reaches to the value of the column, it will actually become the second row. It just simply keeps increasing like this and all. Going ahead, let's talk about columns. So when it comes to columns, so we have the index. If the index is 0, the columns are gonna be, suppose 3. So 0 by 3 is 0, 1 by 3, 1. So if the index is 1, the column is gonna be, if the index is 0, column is gonna, cell is gonna be 0. If the index is by column, okay. If index is 1, column is gonna be 1. If index is 2, column should be 2. If index is 3, column should be 3. So I mean, if index is 3, cell should be 3. So it just simply keeps increasing. So it increases by the number of columns. Having said that, as the number of index goes over columns, it comes back to 1. So this is something that you have to keep in mind. And suppose columns divided by columns, what will it be? It will be 1. So, and if it is no, columns divided by column, that will columns modulo by columns, that's gonna be 0. So 3 modulo, if I talk about 3 modulo 3, that will be 0. Yeah. So this way it will just simply keep repeating. So this is used for calculating the number of rows, this is used for calculating the number of columns. As long as you understand how it works, that's more than enough. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And to be honest, it makes sense. Like, it does feel like, yeah, this is how it should be. Why not? Okay, by the way, once this particular thing is done, how is this happening? Pretty simple. You want to get the number of rows, right? So just think about it. Okay, if index is 1, then what should it be? If index is 2, then what should it be? On the basis of the formula can be calculated, created. Having said that, AI helped me with this. Now when I think back and think about how the things are actually organized, it definitely makes sense. Going ahead, on the basis of we know that what's the row, what's the column. Now we have to change the coordinate of image so that the image goes to that particular cell. So we have the start x. What are they? They are nothing but the starting values of one image. If there is only one image, so these are the starting coordinates of first cell. What are we doing? This is okay, but then column multiplied by cell size, and this is gonna be interesting. So column multiplied by cell size, so we are just simply adding this much as well. So what is actually happening in here? We had the start value, so not this one actually. So we actually had this kind of cell if there is only one image, and the start x is start by represent this. And what do we have to do? Column multiplied by cell. Column multiplied by cell means it just simply returns me the whole width, as simple as that. We are adding it to the start. So column, how many columns we have, multiplied by cell size. So one cell size multiplied by column, it returns the whole width, and plus max size, whatever the max size should be, minus image dot width. So exactly how small the image is. So once subtracted, we got the difference. Like if it can be either 1 minus 1 0 and divided by 2, that's gonna be 0 divided by 2 0. So if the both the sizes are exactly the same, so in that case, if the column size is 3, well, let me think about it. So column size is 3, cell size is the total width ultimately, because cell size multiplied by columns, so it just becomes the total width. And once it has the total width, start x I have, that's nothing but this particular point. I have to send the image in here because I have the same 3 images. So this particular image that I have, it should actually be going here. So how will I move it here, and then here, then here, then here, then here, then here? That should how it should be working. So the number of, okay, this is column, not columns, got it. So column is gonna be which one? So column is gonna be 0, I already know. Cell size, what is the cell size? 0 by cell size is gonna be 0, as simple as that. And so we know which column it's going to be, we already know which row it's going to be. Both are gonna be 0 0, so it's gonna be this. And this is the interesting part. So max size can be how much? Max size can be, suppose 500. The image width, if that is actually equals to 500, the image, so 500 minus 0 divided by 2, that's gonna be 0. So we are gonna be adding 0. So 0 0 start x, that simply means we it doesn't seem to be working. First of all, this is start x. Grid, okay, got that, yeah, come on. This is the center of the image of the grid, not really, this is not the one, this is not the one. Center, it is grid width. So start x, center x minus grid width divided by 2. So grid width, center x, they are the starting point of the start point of grid to center it on canvas. That is right. So this is the start point of the grid. That is what I missed. I missed to that. Coming back to this. So we have the start point. That's actually this part, not this one. This one at the top. Okay. And once we have this at the top, if the column is 0, it will become 0. It will become 0 at the end of the day. The image will be getting this particular place. Second thing, if the column is actually 1 and the row is 1 as column is row is 0, column is probably 1. In that case it's gonna be calculated again, and then this one will be what assigned. So let's see exactly how it works. So ultimately, if the start x and the start y we already know, okay, and column in our case the column is 1, so column multiplied by seal size, so we'll get the overall seal size. That's okay, whatever we wanted. So start plus seal size, so we had the start in here plus seal size, that's gonna be back to this. And apart from this particular thing, if the image size is actually equivalent to the considering that image size is equals to max size, so if I divide by 0, that's gonna be 0. That simply means second one is gonna be here. So isn't it pretty simple? First of all, this is the start point. Then if you add the ceiling size, this will become, if you add a ceiling size, this will become, then the next time onwards this is actually gonna change. So the row is gonna be 1 again, sorry, not the row, the row is gonna be 0 again, so this is gonna be at the 0th column, so start x is gonna be 0, and at that time column is gonna change. So if the column is actually if that is actually 4, so it will become 1. If the column is 1, so let's talk about y right now. What's gonna be the y? So start is something that we already know. Start is gonna be this, we only y changes over here. So start y and row. So in that case, if the row is if the row is suppose 1, so 1 multiplied by seal size. So ultimately, if y was here earlier, and if the index is actually 4, that simply means 4 modulo 3, it will become 1, and hence the size of this will come from here to here. So it is a formula that definitely works. Okay, don't worry about this. So what is the main use of this formula? It first of all calculates the which row you should go, which column you should go. On the basis of that thing, it calculates, it already has the starting point, right? So it already has the starting point. This is the starting point, it already has that. Now as per the number of columns that you want, which column you should go, as per the number of rows you want, it just simply adds that much width, that much space to the x coordinate, that much space to the y coordinate, and as per that thing you just move here and there, and this is how the overall things work, and that's what this particular formula do. Okay, so calculates start x let's remove this based on, we already understand, so that's more than enough. But ultimately this is how it just simply gets the job done. Apart from this particular thing, of course we have to just simply save the images, we have to set the selector tool, and lastly we have to do this. Now when it comes to select, what all do we need to have? So all these images need to be selected. Come on, it's gonna be fun. Pointer, state, select, enter. So I need to have preview shape and group bounds. These things are needed there. Coming back to this, so we need to have preview shapes, and we need to have group bounds, and get group bounds, and of course we have to pass the shapes. Now the question is, what are the shapes? So and it turns out it already returns us the shapes. So this value is actually gonna be shapes, and we are gonna be getting the bounds of that. So this is also gonna be that shapes, and ground bounds. Okay, group bounds. selected bounds or null is not assignable to type selected bounds. Group bounds. It returns. So what is the problem? Okay, it can be null. So in that case, it will not return null. I'll definitely have the preview shapes. And this seems to be fine. By the way, if I don't have the shapes, of course I'm gonna be returning. In case I did not get any shapes, I did not get any shapes, returning. That thing is never gonna happen because we'll definitely have that. But yeah, in case. And apart from this particular thing, we are just simply saving it, and we even need to preview shape is gonna be doing what? Preview shape is mainly needed when you are resizing them. So you probably resize, that is okay if you have them here. And it turns out that is not here yet. So set a selected shape id store dot, we are gonna be setting the selected shape id as well. Set selected shape id shapes.map shape.id, as simple as that. So this should be enough. We even have a use effect. So what it does, if the equals to image, it clicks that. Okay, fine. Okay, good stuff. So now what will happen, that as what the hell, image input ref, coming back to this image input ref, now this seems to be all right. Now let's check this thing out. Everything's working. Yeah. So now if I select the images, we already know like how it works and all, right? So if we do that, so now you actually have a look. All the images, they are selected. Like it's not like they are here. It's like they are selected one by one as well. And of course, once you have the images in here, well, this is insane. This works this time. Earlier it wasn't working. That is good. The only thing is that okay, just a sec. Let me select them again. This is sort of a bug. Whenever so what is actually happening right now, there is until I click here, then it starts working. By default it doesn't. Okay, what is the problem? How about here? How does this work? it works directly, right? And it takes some time. Why does it take some time? Okay, never mind. In our case it doesn't, but in future it is definitely gonna be taking some time in our case as well. So we have to keep that particular thing in mind, and this is how it just simply looks like. As for the size of the images, that's small, or I can say really small, because if I just simply select one, that's because yeah, it just works the way it works in our case. The only difference problem in our case, that is when we select it, come on, if they are selected, if I click, these are the sort of, let me add this, they are the keyboard shortcuts, right? So if they are selected and if I click this, we'll be adding these keyboard shortcuts very soon. Let me just simply delete them directly. So we have them here, but this is not changing, this always remains the same. So the thing is that whenever I click on that selected tool, right, so good that it works. What is this now? Text editor, okay, it's not in use. The thing that we have to fix, that is this one. Interactions, use drawing, use move. Here we are just simply uploading the image, so probably use image, don't we have it here? We have use image upload. So whenever we are uploading the image, the tool is actually selected to this, and update cursor, turns out we don't have them here. Where do we have them? Cursor related stuff. Canvas, cursor.ts, we have use cursor, we have update hover cursor, and we have update cursor. Update cursor is a general one. Update hover cursor is something that we have to take care of. It takes the point and it takes the hovered shape. Okay. If that is greater than 0, then do this, otherwise do this. So the shape is actually greater than 0, so we are gonna be doing these things. The one thing that is problematic in here, that is the point, and we are already doing it when, first of all, let's set it to pointer. So whenever we are changing the tool, so use tool actions. So whenever the selected shape IDs are use tool actions, we have set selected tool, this shape IDs, and whenever we are changing a tool, that simply means select a tool. So use callback, this tool type, whenever this is called select a tool, so set selected shape IDs to this, set selected tool is gonna be tool, whichever tool is called, invalidate overlay. This seems to be alright. It is a callback, it doesn't get recreated, so whenever we hover over it, let me see what I'm gonna do, that is logging it. I wanna see that when we move, first of all it is not changing, so that is something can be taken care of easily. So whenever I call this particular method, right, we are already invalidating it, so no need to do anything as such in here. So on pointer down, we have to take care of on pointer move. Alrighty, I won't be able to be, just a minute, let's switch off the fan. Okay, this is better. So pointer is moving, this is it. Let me get, what the hell, pointer is moving, right? Let's get the image. Pointer is still moving. As the pointer moves, so I have to update it. Pointer is moving, great. Now CLG, first of all let's just simply paste it in here. CLG console.log interaction. Interaction is none, interaction select. It is this, so that is even something not fixed yet. If I click on insert image, yeah, anyway, as we are moving, nothing is happening. Yep, this is something we have to fix. How can we do that? We'll see. But apart from this particular thing, suppose I click this and then I click this, it changes, this changes, this changes, even this changes, but when I click on the image, nothing changes. So as soon as I click on the image, whenever the selected tool changes, and if the selected tool actually becomes the image, in that case we have to change the cursor, update cursor, of what? Whenever we are changing the tool, what we are actually doing, this is fine. Tool actions, whenever we are changing any tool, select a tool, at that time we are setting the selected tool to that, and when it comes to canvas cursor, this particular part in here, selected shapes, get group bounds. Okay, that's fine, and this is where it does the job, not even this place. Update hover cursor. Whenever we are updating the hover cursor, apply resize handle. Yeah, so if there is any handle, in that case we are gonna be applying the resize handle, and we are just simply doing it in here. We can keep it inside this as well. Come on. But there is a problem, that is it works great, it's just that it doesn't get any event, event doesn't get triggered. So update hover cursor, it just simply updates it as per the need, so no problem this side as such. Selected tool, I was just simply checking whether it actually uses selected tool or not, so let's check that. So forward shape will have its own type for sure. So what is the use of yeah, when it comes to rendering that, so it actually uses the what is that thing called, yeah, the resize handles. So this will just simply work on the resize handle. Update cursor is actually handles the remaining part. So get canvas cursor, it does take the tool. Where is this coming from? Wherever I am calling this, so I have to just simply call update cursor there. Update cursor, pass the tool. So how about invalidate overlay? What while invalidating overlay, are we actually calling that update cursor? Check this thing out as well. Overlay is here. Update cursor, nope. Great. So we have to update cursor, we have to pass the tool. And update cursor comes from where? Canvas cursor.ts. What does this take now? Overlay pointer ifs. We don't really have that. So now the question is, or we can run it, yeah, we can run this instead of doing this in here. What we can do, that whenever the value of this changes, whenever the value of tool changes, at that time I'm actually gonna run so use the effect, come on, dependency is gonna be selected tool. So whenever the value of selected tool changes, this is gonna be running, and at that time update cursor, I'm just gonna be passing the selected tool from here. Any problem with this? Let's see whether it works or not. Okay, it does work. Great. Fine. The image was blank. Back to inside cursor, so that is also fine. Apart from this particular thing, what else that we have to figure out? The second thing is that as we select the image and we hover over it, nothing happens. Suppose keep it aside. So this is the triggered, right, until unless we click that. So that's the problem we have to fix. When I select the image and move the mouse, after that it seems that mouse move event is not triggered. After that, until I click on the canvas. The behavior is usually not caused by React. It's typically because selecting a file opens the browser's native file picker, which interrupts the interactions. The canvas lost pointer capture most common. Yeah, that is right. If you are using pointer, then opening a file, this opening the file dialog releases the capture. After the dialog closes, you need to new pointer interaction before you will receive pointer move again. So opening the file dialog releases the capture. After the dialog closes, you need a new pointer. Input dot on change. So whenever the input changes, we have to focus the canvas back. Okay, it can be only done wherever we are just simply changing that. That is good. Let's do that. So use image upload, and we are of course clicking that. We already have this input ref, and the question is that where to keep this image input ref input dot on change. So wherever I have the input, let's go to canvas in here. And this is the input that we have. On change we have, and whenever this on change happens, we have to focus the canvas. When it comes to focusing the canvas, whenever something changes in that, we already have the overlay canvas. So at the end, invalidate overlay canvas ref dot current dot focus. How about this? Let's try it. Until unless we click, nothing's happening. Nope, this does not work. Probably we'll have to look for some better ways to accomplish this. See, you are only listening while driving. If your code looks like if not pointer then return, then after the file picker closes, the pointer up never happens. While dragging. We'll figure it out later. Probably we are never releasing that. So whenever we start pointer, we'll see exactly how it can be handled. As for right now, this is just not working. So let's comment this and we'll see later. But having said that, this is pretty much fine. Okay, going ahead, directly it doesn't work, but once clicked, then it starts working, and even everything starts working there. So not sort of a problematic thing, but definitely can be better. One more thing, that shared CN. I was looking for some components that can be used. Tabs, spinner, skeleton. Attachment, bubble, marker, message, message scroller. Let's just simply have a look at them. Alert, alert dialog, aspect ratio, attachment. What is this? This just got added. Badge, trumps, bubble, button group, calendar, carousel, checkbox, flexible, combo, command. Context menu. Yeah. So this is what I wanted for Excalidraw clone. New file, open, save, delete. Probably this thing I can go with as well. Copy, paste, cut, undo, redo, save, open new file. Yeah, good stuff. I may be just simply copying and pasting this stuff. Alrighty, so this is what gonna be important for us. Not this one. Groups, yeah, this one. So this is the context menu that we are definitely gonna be needing soon. So let's just simply keep it in here. Menu to add. So this particular thing is done. Canvas menu is sort of done. It is fine. Text editor, let me see if there are some extra things. If there are, we'll be getting rid of them. If there are not, then we'll continue. Canvas client. If not, text editing, return. Text editor. This seems to be alright as well. Undo, redo. Pretty much fine. Zoom controllers. Because we have to work on more functionalities, so let's just simply go through it really quick and then start working on them. Hopefully things are fine the way they should be. Definitely later we'll need to come back to each and probably making them even better, but again, I'll never stop working on this, so it's like I'll keep working on it. Probably one day it's gonna be a huge one. It's not like I will give all my time, but at least an hour or so I can give it daily. Font size, great, and I might even need to mention that. Crazy stuff. Let me do one thing. Font size 18. That is why I need to have a look at the code properly. Somewhere or the other things are crazy. Just a minute. This is fine. We were here, right? This section I have to start everything from here. There are crazy things in here. This seems to be fine. I need to restart my computer. It's just simply unable to load the things the way I want them to be loaded. Again, I need to make the global state for it, so that is something we have to still work on. and that is why we have solid this thing in here. That's fine. Having any doesn't really matter in here as for right now, because later we have to create the state for it. That's again something we'll be doing very soon. So as for right now, no problem as such. Even this any, that is okay, understandable now. It should be just that there shouldn't be any errors as such. Later when we actually work on that particular part, so we'll take care of it. Okay, this is fine. So collapse everything, close everything, web features editor. We've gone through all the components, there's no problem as such in there, and no doubt there can be many more things, so we'll be just simply working on them. Constants, these are the constants that we have, no problem. Context, no problem. Draw, eraser, background. So it turns out that whenever we are drawing eraser background, at that time we don't need pen offset. If we don't really need them, so pen offset. How about the scale? Scale is needed. So the question is, where all am I using this? We are in the draw section, right? This is the place where they were being used, and right now they are not. Eraser background, great, worked. Next one, selection bounds. Draw selection bounds. This is mainly responsible for drawing the selection bounds. It can be child, it can be group. By default it is child, and that does the job. Having said that, it should have default styling and all. Should we work on the style section right now? Because by default ORs looks like this, right? It is not exactly like Excalidraw, whatever you call that. Usually Excalidraw looks like this. This one even looks like this. So it's better to give it some kind of background, right? As for now, let's try doing that. First of all, which one's better? This is not bad, first of all, but it can be better. So when it comes to making it better, alrighty, not this one here. Now, is there any way to know what kind of color it has? Let's not worry about the design part as of right now. We better just give it some color. So giving it the color, we don't really know the exact value of that, so we'll see exactly what we are gonna be doing. As for right now, it actually not this one. Things actually look like this, and I think this is better. And as for that marquee selection, this one over here we have stroke width. The color should be, let me see which one fits here. Stroke style. Okay. Let's not have the dashed lines. Which one's better? I like this one, dashed one. And apart from this particular thing, we gotta have some background, right? So correct. cds dot fill. Height. The only thing is that which color. I will be looking really bad. This should be fill style. Now this is not bad, but it's really bad. CSS color bigger. This is what the hell? Are you kidding me? What to do? And the best BG color. Let's see how it looks like now. Well, this is not bad. It could be a little lighter. A little lighter. Now what is this? Reload. Okay, 5 looks like this much. This is not bad, is this? We'll take the help of AI in this designing stuff and all. Well, it may not exactly be like Excalidraw, I don't really care. Who cares to just make exactly the same, right? This is better in our case. As for the designing part, we'll be taking care of it soon. I mean, well, as for right now, this is more than enough, I think. And apart from this particular thing, if I enable this, then it actually looks like this, and I prefer this one because it feels like we are sort of selecting something or the other, but we'll see which one's better, which one's not. Okay, so this particular thing is done. We have line selection. In the line selection, I don't really have any problem. Whatever we have, that's enough for now. As for these colors, we can definitely even customize them, right? Do we really need to hard code everything? We can customize everything, right? Later. Bounds are gonna be there, that's also fine. So bounds, line selections are gonna look like this. Line selections. This is good. Anyway, now going ahead, next shapes, arrow. Bounds are not needed here. Arrow doesn't need bounds. It was really hard for me to understand this particular part, and hence I did this. And what are we actually doing here? The remaining things have been easy peasy, right? Let me see if I need to explain anything. First of all, I didn't really explain anything at all. Corners, handles, rotation, it's simple. We are just simply drawing a rectangle type here, and here we are getting the endpoints. At the end of the day, we have the handles, and then we are just simply drawing the things in here. That's marquee selection is already simple. We are drawing the rectangles. Background, no problem with that as such. Eraser background. Draw. Probably from here onwards I need to just be a little cautious. So we are just simply getting the shape that has x, y and points, as simple as that. We are checking whether the point's length is less than 2, because if it is actually less than 2, that simply means there are just 1 point, and 1 point cannot draw an arrow, so it will be just simply returned from here. As for this line width and height, these things need to be customized, and we are gonna be working on it. As for now, right now they are fixed. Begin path, we just simply start from here. This whole section is responsible for drawing the line. So draw the arrow line segment. So this is mainly responsible for that. Apart from this particular thing, this particular segment section is actually responsible for drawing the arrows. So find the later, ultimately when we have to draw the arrow in the sense as we drew this. So this section I'm talking about, how are we gonna be drawing this? So when it comes to this, so first of all you have to find the second last point, so the last point and the second last point, and based on that last point and the second last, you will get the trajectory of the exactly direction ultimately. If you don't have them, so of course we are going to be returning from here. After that we have the start x, so x plus second last x, y plus second last y. What are these? Let me see, what are these? X and y, they are the nothing but the coordinates. Now starting point ultimately, and what we are doing, x plus start x is gonna be second last x, the 0th index, so we are gonna be getting the coordinate over here, as simple as that. Okay, fine. So this is the start x and start y, so the last points they are, so I can say second last start x or something, that would be better, but okay, never mind. So this is the start x value and the start y value, this is the end x value, end y value. So ultimately our goal is to just simply get the last 2 points, and once we got those 2 points, we calculated their, this is the last index, h, and these are index h, and they are absolute points. Okay, never mind, we need to mind. Again, as for these things, I just simply knowingly have, mentioned them here, these comments, so that in future I don't forget, because while creating this I actually struggled a lot understanding how the formulas works and all, so that is why I have them like this. Okay, going ahead, what are we actually doing? We got the last second index, we got the last index. Once we got the start and the end, which are at the last, after that we are gonna be getting the direction of them. This direction actually tells us the direction on which they are aligned to, like towards which they are aligned. So direction of the vector, last line segment, we get the direction dx and dy. As per that thing, we are gonna be getting the angle, exactly what angle they are at. So angle of the last line segment related to the positive x-axis. So suppose this is the positive x-axis, so from that positive x-axis, what's the angle of that? Having said that, negative are gonna be at the top and the positive are gonna be at the bottom. In canvas it just happens the opposite way. So suppose this is the overall canvas, so all the positive points, if you have any point, all the positive points are gonna be just below, all the negative points are gonna be up, because the canvas starts from 0 by 0. So it is not like the canvas you've seen in school math, it just works the opposite way. So just keep the positive, negative will always be up, positive will always be down. In school age, what we've taught, we've learned, and that is true, it's not like that is bad, that is wrong. It just the opposite thing happens with the canvas. Anyway, coming back to this, we get the angle. Once we got the angle, if the angle is actually positive, that simply means that is towards downside. If that is negative, that means that is towards upside, just the opposite. Head length, we decide exactly how much that should have the length. Then arrow head wing, so we are, so draw arrow wings. Okay, by the way, once we have the second, what do we have? We have the angle, exactly what they are aligned to. We have the second last point. After that we are going to be creating the arrowhead. This is nothing but the formula, doesn't have any relation with JavaScript and all. It's all about formula that's just simply been written here. So arrowhead wing point, when it comes to getting that, so we have end x, we have the head length, exactly how much we need, cos sine wing length. So it just simply gives us we already had the starting value, right? It gives us the x of the arrow wing. Similarly we get the y, so this is the first coordinate that we got. Based on polar Cartesian conversion, so you can get the x, you can get the y. Once you got these values, you have to just simply just a sec. This particular formula that we are talking about, that you have to get the end x, okay, and you have to get the end y. Once you got the end x and the end y, and then head length multiplied by cos with the angle, whichever wing angle that is. So just change the angle over here, positive and negative, depends on that exactly what the angle is. We'll be having a look over here. It actually returns you the another point. So ultimately, suppose you had this point initially, this is the end point, you get this particular part and then draw the line, this angle will be ready. Similarly, get the angle and get this particular point, draw the line, this particular will be ready. So that's what is being done over here, and this is the overall formula that is used. And I myself have to know more about this particular formula. By the way, this is actually based on Cartesian conversion, and the overall formula actually looks like this, where you have x, center x, radius, cos angle, and on the basis of that thing you are gonna be getting the another point, okay, based on that particular angle. So based on whichever angle you provide over here, this next point, another point will be sort of, you will get the coordinates. And we use minus instead of plus because the wing is drawn backwards from the arrow tip. And again, if you are actually wondering that, okay, that is fine, but why we are actually subtracting it? So we have end, now we have to go backward, right? That's what we mentioned over here, that okay, you have to come backwards, and here the plus is added. So why are we adding minus over here? Because we have to come backwards. So if this is the point, if this is the arrow, we actually have to come backward, and that is why we are just simply adding it there. And these what comments, they really make, I mean, can make anyone understand the things easily. Okay, this is just a formula, this is how it works, this is how the JavaScript is implemented, and that is why I thought of keeping it here. Good for me, good for others if someone has a look at this in future. And even this particular comment is here. Canvas coordinate system, 0 0 is at the top left corner of the canvas. X increases as you move right, Y increases as you move down, just the opposite of the canvases we've seen. Going ahead from here, then we are getting, this is gonna be the wing 1. So lower wing when angle is 0, arrow points towards right. So ultimately, this is just an example, like when the angle is 0, so that's gonna be the lower wing. When, and upper wing when the angle is so upper wing when angle is 0. So just considering that angle is 0, so at that time, if you just simply subtract, so you are gonna be getting the lower wing, and if you just simply add, you will be getting the upper wing. The question is that how it works. First of all, as per the formula, we have the index, we have the head length is the length of the arrow wing that you want. Math.cos theta, that is fine. As for the angle, this is the overall angle, that is the angle that you actually got, right? And once the angle that you got, you have to just simply subtract it with math.pi divided by 6. What it does, math.pi means 180, if I'm not wrong, 180 or not, I think so, yeah, and 180 divided by 6, so ultimately it gets divided, something is missing, how it's working I've forgotten honestly. Okay, ultimately this whole formula is responsible for creating the wing. So you get the coordinates of the first wing and you get the coordinates of the second wing, and then you just simply draw the line. As for this thing, this is the mathematical stuff. I actually dug deeper into it earlier and then I forgotten, so let me just do a quick Google search. Math.pi means 180 degree. Okay, I'll actually have to bye bye, take care, my inverter is